Hey guys, this is Matt here with Matt's Reef Tank. You guys haven't seen me in a long time. As a matter of fact, I have a video before this video, probably two, that I wanted to produce before this moment. But let me bring you up to par on at least this timeline. I just came back from Everest Base Camp where I was attempting to climb Mount Everest. It was a 2-month affair. Went to Nepal, went to base camp. If you're interested in that, I'm making a vlog currently about my experience on Everest, and you can check it out right here. I'll put a little box there. I left the fish tank in the care of my office staff. Annie is pregnant with my baby, if you haven't heard that. Now, Michael, my office staff, is normally pretty good with taking care of things, but I lost about half of my SPS. And the other half is not doing very well. The fish all seem to be doing okay, but there's all the green SPS I had is either dead or dying. Some of the softies didn't survive. I basically came home and I started crying. I don't know if the ability for this tank to survive, A, Annie's lack of attention because she's pregnant, B, her lack of attention because she's gonna have a kid, and C, my absence on my world tour, which I still am going on, can sustain this tank. It's just too much to ask for somebody that's not as passionate as me. I have a strong passion for this tank, and to put it in somebody else's hands and expect them to have the same is not so cool. Either way, the tank is extremely dirty. Well, not extremely, but it is. It needs a good cleaning. I've got to. I came home a few days ago. I was gonna record this a few days ago when I first actually came, but I literally didn't have the stomach for it. Just to give you an idea of the two biggest losses in the tank. How long do you think that took to grow? What about this bad boy? Gone. What a waste. Sad. They were some of my best and prettiest corals in the tank, and they died. Anyways, I'm gonna get in here, clean it up. I've got an Aptasia breakout that I've got to take care of. I've got to trim and clean. So this episode will be revisiting the tank. Fish tanks are a lesson in determination, that's for sure. And I'm thinking that what I have to do here is I have to readjust my formula for this guy and make it a little bit easier for somebody to take care of. Oh, you might be asking yourself, why the crash? Why did this happen? It's easy solution. And that's what makes it the worst, because it's such an easy thing. It wasn't water, fresh water intake. It wasn't cleaning the filters. What it was right here. These are my KH, calcium and magnesium. When I came back, KH was dry, calcium was dry. And I imagine they had been dry for a while. I had told my office staff how to replace that. To be honest, here's a replacement KH, there's a replacement calcium. It was as easy as refilling those tubs. That's the worst part. All that coral, years worth of growth, died for nothing. Shouldn't have happened. Oh, another thing that went wrong is this piece of rock continues to fall over. I guess it fell over a bunch of times while I was gone. Man, oh man, look at all that Aptasia. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have to kill the Aptasia first. Okay, now, Aptasia's like a bastard. I consider them like little anemones. They spread like weeds. They poison everything. As a matter of fact, their tentacles actually do kill certain animals. They can grab them and eat them if they're small enough. If they're big enough, they're just a nuisance. And they divide and conquer like crazy. There are fish that eat Aptasia, specifically the butterfly, but you could buy 10 butterfly and they might not ever eat one Aptasia. And you might buy one and it's like a vacuum cleaner for Aptasia and it ends up cleaning up your whole tank. It's a crapshoot. The best way is to take that rock, pull it out of your tank, let it dry out. The Aptasia is dead. Obviously, you don't want to do that because you've set up your tank to be beautiful. The other thing is to poison them with, there's a bunch of Aptasia X and things like this. I've never used them. I don't necessarily like putting these type of chemicals in. The thing that I like to do the most is kill it with calcium. They do not like calcium. Like very, very pure calcium, not diluted. So you take it directly out of the calcium substrate that you would normally mix into your tank water, and you inject them with a syringe or something directly into the mouth of the Aptasia. Negatives to this is you never know if you're going to get them all. It works 80% of the time if you're careful. And that's about it. I mean, the odds are that you're not going to get them all, but you can kind of keep them down. Maybe there's some critters in there that will kind of take over and clean up the rest. You never know. So for now, let me just try and get rid of it. You might ask yourself, how the hell did I get this stuff? It comes in on rocks that you buy, corals that you buy. Personally, I think it came in on the backside of a brain coral that I bought. And all you need is one. And pretty soon you've got tons. Before you try and inject this into the mouth of your Aptasia, you have to know that this is going to try and disperse as quick as possible. So turn off your water flow, let the water stagnate, and then go in for the kill, you know, and hopefully the poison or the calcium is strong enough that it penetrates and kills the Aptasia before it dilutes in the water. That's why you turn the water off. First of all, kill the Aptasia. Second of all, fix that rock. Third of all, clean up the coral that has died. And fourth, clean this tank because the coralline algae has just gone somewhat rampant on some of the surfaces and I want to clean it up. One of the other things that happened while I was away was my power head went out. I had described in a past Matt's Reef tank how I have the flow set up in my fish tank, and that Annie had a guy from a pet store come and hook up a new power head. It's a different power head. It was pointed in a completely different direction, and it totally tweaked my flow. And you can tell in the front. Look at my leather. It's nice, it's grown a lot. But look at the direction it's pointed in. My flow had it so that it was lifted up. The water actually came around and down, and now it was coming from under and up, and the leather was turning around so that it could get facing that flow. You know, it's the simple things in this fish tank. It's the little things that really exemplify it, that make things thrive. And if there's one thing that's a little off, it ruins the whole aesthetic of the fish tank. When I found out that that guy did that, I was so frustrated. I'll give his skeleton a place to survive and live in the tank alongside his brothers. Okay, first things first, turn off the water. Oh, and before I go, Aptasia can be in your sump too. Not much you can do about it. Just if you see it, try and pull those rocks out. First thing I'm going to do is pull rocks out of the tank that that we can let dry out, and if they have Aptasia, they'll die. If you are pulling out stuff that you think has Aptasia on it, make sure it has Aptasia on it. I mean, this piece, which I really like, has a beautiful coralline algae all over it, but it does have a lot of nooks and crannies with visible Aptasia, so I just pulled it out. It'll dry, all that Aptasia will die, but along with it all that coralline algae, which I really like. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill up my syringe with calcium and start attacking the Aptasia that I do see. Get it right in the mouth. Really try and get it down because it's hidden in a hole. Okay, so I actually removed, I think, all of the Aptasia, except for one monster on the other side. He's buried so deep, he's probably spawning all of the Aptasia in the tank. I've known about that's coral glue. I keep the cap in my mouth, and anyways, I've known about him for a long time, but he's too deep for me to disassemble everything to get to him. To be honest, it's a stupid move on my part. I should try and get him. Anyways, for the most part, all the Aptasia is gone except for that one. And I'm gonna give the tank a cleaning. I already topped off those chemicals that I said were lacking. And in the last couple of days since I did that as soon as I came back from Everest. I looked at the tank, I saw there was a problem, I identified the solution, and I solved it. I wish he would have told me a few months ago. Maybe I would have been able to counsel him as to what to do. Anyways, I was at base camp. Anyways, I changed the direction of my pump head. I eliminated some of the Aptasia. I pulled out the dead coral, or as much of the dead coral as I thought was necessary. Now I'm gonna give the fish tank a cleaning, do a water change, and it'll be on par to start to recuperate. But to expect it to come back to full strength, That's not going to happen. It's going to take some time. Anyways, time for cleaning. Notice something disconcerting. This side, the water level is a little bit over the top edge of the tank. On the other side, it's actually got a gap of about 1 centimeter. So the tank is tipped, not by much, but enough to notice. Should I be worried? Maybe eventually, maybe not right now. Anyways, cleaning is done. Now I'm going to see if I can do a water change. Okay. For those of you that have seen my change water video on Matt's Reef tank, you might be noticing something. That I'm actually removing water first and then adding water back second. Now, it's going to be very hypocritical of me to say so, but I think that's a better way to do it, even though I argued against it in that previous episode. I did it a couple of times, tried it out. My corals didn't seem to have any problem with it. I was thinking maybe exposing those corals to the air would be bad. Turns out, not so bad. So we're all willing to accept our statements that are wrong, and I don't think that was necessarily wrong. You can do a simultaneous add and subtract, but as some of the viewers pointed out, you sometimes can be removing water that you're adding cleanly at the same time. So I would say that if you wanted to do a quick change and you didn't have a lot of time, that might be a way to do it. But if you were going to do a long water change where you're going to reduce the water and there's some living organisms that are going to sit outside over a long period of time, over an hour or whatever, that might be a bad thing. Although on tidal pools, if you go into nature, you'll see the tide flow out and it'll be out for half the day sometimes before it ends up washing back, and there are corals in those exposed areas that are in the air for all that time, and they do pop back. So although you don't want to necessarily do that with sponges. Sponges you put in the air and it's pretty much the end of the road for them. But anyways, that's what I'm doing. Okay, so water's being added. Chemicals are sort of balancing. All the pesky rodents are out. I think it's back on track. I'm gonna stop this Matt's Reef tank now, and maybe I'll pick up in a week or so and see how things are doing then.